Well, I am excited to have this conversation today. One, because I just adore my friend Anastasia. And a few weeks ago, she was supposed to come down to Los Angeles to do a 2-day photo shoot with me. But then the pandemic happened. So we've had to regroup as entrepreneurs. But I want to have her on the podcast because there's so many aspects about your life, Anastasia, that I admire. Your creativity as a designer, photographer, a writer, a storyteller, your journey as a cancer survivor, your photography, and also just your support in like sisterhood. So thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yay. Now, we connected a few weeks ago also on the fact that we couldn't do this photo shoot and we had to do some things virtually, which was awesome. But you shared with me at the time what happened after I had posted my campaign supporting No Kid Hungry. There was this sort of ripple effect of goodness, and I was so in awe of what you did that can you just share a little bit about what happened and where things are right now?
Yes. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. So you shared yours and you wanted to have a photo. I think you used one of the photos that I took as part of the promo for it. And I loved this idea of gifting, receiving, and giving.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, oh, how can I do that within my business? And that idea came that I would gift a family shoot, or I would sell a family shoot. And with that, I would gift a family shoot to an essential worker. And, it kind of came down to us just being so grateful for this time. We're non-essential. And in many ways, obviously, that creates so much concern for finances right now and the inability to work, the inability to fly to LA and photograph you, among others. But I'm at home and I'm safe and I'm with my boys. And I have 2 teenage boys and we're both boy moms.
Yep.
And, I wouldn't be getting a lot of time with them right now. My oldest would have gotten his license during this time, which he hasn't been able to do. So we're keeping him home a little bit more. But they are busy. They would be traveling. They would be finishing school. They would have their social life. And I've really, really looked at this time as such a privilege and honor to have them home and just be almost stealing this extra time with them before they move on. And I was thinking about all the essential workers and the nurses who aren't getting that time with their families. And so this was a way that I thought, oh my goodness, okay, I could give, when this is over, I could give those essential workers memories with their family through this shoot. And so it was a 1-for-1, and I called it gratitude sessions. And my hope was to sell around 10 or 12 within my community. But what happened, where the ripple effect comes in and where, I don't know, I get so excited. It's like your generosity begets me to be generous, begets other people to be generous. It just works like that. It works like that all the time. I don't know why I'm surprised by it. And all of a sudden, a ton of photographers started reaching out and asking about if they could offer it within their communities. And as of right now, we launched April 1st, and we're just in the beginning of May right now. And we have had 1,000 photographers that we know of join the initiative. So 1,000 photographers, and all over the world, Colombia, UK, New Zealand, Australia, all through the US, all through Canada, who are offering
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so it's hard to exactly figure out how many. We know that we've had 1,000 people join our Facebook group and that they're participating. We're trying to get them to write how many sessions they're giving away, which is harder to do, but we know right now that there have been hundreds of sessions that have been gifted.
That is so phenomenal. I am so in awe of you. So you originally posted it. Did you create a Facebook page for this?
Initially, I just posted it on my social media. It was just my offer within my community. Another photographer from Vancouver reached out. She said she was interested. She shared on a Facebook group of photographers, a bunch of them. It just grew. Within a couple of days, I started a Facebook group just to gather everyone in one place.
Yeah.
So, and then we created just a photographer resource guide so people could have all of the logos and the marketing and all of the copy, just wanting to make it as easy as possible for people to share and participate. So
that is so awesome. So if there's a link for something that I can post alongside this podcast, you can just share it with me. And that way, anybody who's interested And I think that in this time, that's been one of the most beautiful aspects of it, is seeing ways that people are supporting other businesses and other families, and seeing how we can kind of link arms together in this. And one thing that I'm so moved about your work is when I used to be a professional actress, and one of the things that I hated the most about part of the job was getting my headshots. The experience of getting my headshots. I just felt like a jerk. And I don't know, I just couldn't really I just never really felt comfortable in my own skin. And I think I shared this with you, but one time was when I was in my late 20s, I shared my contact sheet. Remember back in the day when you had like an actual contact sheet? Isn't that so funny? Like the black and white, whatever, contact sheet. My agent was looking at some of the proofs, and she was like, I really think you need an eyelid lift because your eyelid is a little low. My eyelid lift.
Oh
And I remember thinking to myself, you're out of your mind. It's a woman too who said that to me. I was like, you're out of your mind. And I hate this industry.
Yeah, for sure.
But why I'm saying all of this is because I loved my shoot with you. And you don't touch up your photos, but you really capture the essence. And that's a beautiful thing. There is no fakery. And what you see is really you in your own light and doing different things. And I the first time we did a 2-day session the first time, and we captured so many different aspects of my life. And the pictures that I cherish so much are the ones that we did where we captured me with my kids. And even the moment that we went to my youngest son's baseball game, and it was like these beautiful slice of life moments. And I so love that authenticity about you and your work, and the thought that that is going to be gifted to people. It's just incredible. It's really beautiful. I mean, that is really a gift that is timeless and cherished, and it is so cool. It's so cool.
Oh, thank you. It's one of my favorite parts about taking photos, specifically women, because I feel like I almost get to be an investigator or a spy. And I get to kind of ask enough questions, and we always have a consult and figure out what is it that creates you to be unique in your industry. What's unique about who you are? How do we humanize you into your brand? Because in this day and age, let's just say coaching, there's so many coaches online right now. And I get a lot of women who ask for photos for coaches. And so really, how do we differentiate? How do we find little pieces of what makes that woman different so that she can reach the women and the people that she is meant to impact and give into? How do we do that? How do we make everyone unique when they're offering very similar things? And so I think that's one of my favorite things, is finding those unique,
those little gems.
Yeah. And oftentimes it's the everyday. People always say to me, I'm not very interesting. There's nothing to take photos of. I'm not good in front of a camera. And I think, are you kidding me? I remember my one friend saying, oh, I'll never get a photo shoot with you. My life is so boring. She's a local bakery. Her stuff is unbelievable. She only uses local ingredients. Everything's organic. She has chickens. Her cakes are made out of her own eggs. She uses the lavender she grows on the side of her house with her 2 little girls. And it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't see ourselves the way that other people see us. We have such a hard time there's a disconnect. And so I like to put in that connection piece and go, there are so many things I can photograph about you. There's so many. And it's my favorite part.
Oh, there's so many things that you just said that really resonate. And I think in this time, when everybody is at home, hopefully, and online, on camera, on Zoom, and whatever, we've broken that barrier that I think we're actually all quite sick of. This idea of perfection, or I have to look a certain way or be a certain way, or I'm not exciting enough or glamorous enough, or whatever these stories are that no longer serve us. And instead really understand that really what people are looking for is authenticity. and that when we can show up, with a hair and a bun and roots for days and whatever, it's not about any of that stuff. That's not who we are. And I think so there's a really wonderful opportunity, and you've been doing that with your work for so many years, is really embracing all of this, all that makes who you are. And that's why it's the perfect segue. But you have this tattoo I'm not a tattoo person, but the tattoo that you have is so good. And I've talked about it so much because you just have in this beautiful script, "It all belongs."
Yes, and it shows off my Wishbeads.
Your wish beads, I know. It all belongs. I just love this idea because here we are in the grit and the intensity of this time, understanding that all of it, the challenges, the gift of being with our families, at this sort of unexpected time, the emotions that we're feeling, all of it belongs, and all of it is this intricate fabric of this experience. And yet so many of us try to push away the negative narrative, like, nope, I'm just going to be positive. And Lord knows if you stumbled on my stuff, you'd think that that's all that I talk about. But the truth is, it all belongs. And the hard parts are what make us who we are. The hard parts are the greatest gifts. So I have to ask you to talk a little bit about your cancer journey.
For sure.
Yeah, because when you and I were talking about your experience with cancer and the challenges you faced, suddenly this new awareness came from the intensity of that experience. And it was such a gift when we spoke about it the first time. So I'd love for you to address it, especially in this place of being cancer-free.
Yes. 3 years cancer-free.
Yes. Beautiful.
Amazing how time goes. I was actually diagnosed 4 years ago and then did a year of treatment. So I had stage 3 breast cancer. And out of the blue, no genetics, and I wasn't feeling sick, and all the things that you kind of assume about cancer, which makes it very scary for sure. When it just arrives, it just comes. Surprised us. I was in the busiest season of my career with weddings. I just started this incredible wedding collective, which I still have, but which has pivoted and shifted quite a bit since. It was massive. I had 11 associates, and we had our biggest year. I think between myself and the associates, we had something like 66 weddings that summer.
Wow.
I know and looking back now, of course I can go, oh my goodness, it was out of control. It was too big. It had gone too big too fast. And it was started out of an intention of having calm and having passive income and being able to mentor and be able to step back. But it didn't end up being that. It ended up being so busy and full on. And in so many ways, the cancer was a gift. And I know people say that and it sounds so trite. It sounds so trite to say cancer was a gift, but I don't really know how else to say it, because for me it was, and for my family, it was our gift. And it really brought perspective, and it slowed us down. And I'm seeing so many things that are similar in this time. So many parts of having to slow down. Even if I think you're working, you're still slowing down. This whole process, we're not going out for dinners, we're not entertaining, we're not, like, a lot of the busyness has been stripped away. And I really resonate with that from my time with having cancer. All of a sudden, everything was stripped away. Everything was just slowed down. None of it really seemed very important.
Yeah.
And we had to get really honest. I had to get really honest with what was important, how I wanted to live my life, and fall in love with all of the good things and the bad things. And for me, that came through a really difficult time. That came through cancer. You found on the ground. I always say that you find beauty, you find life, you find yourself when you get on the ground, when you're in that shadow place, when you're in that darkness. And nothing like a year of cancer treatment can get you quite like that.
Yeah.
For me, I had chemotherapy and a targeted hormone therapy, and radiation and surgery. So it was
So all of it, all the buffet of choices. I'll take them all.
And I remember when we went to that appointment, I'm like, maybe it's stage 0. Maybe I'll be able to just drink a lot of juice and get rid of it. No, that was not going to be my story. I remember when they told us, and we were so shocked. This was real. This was happening. But again, we look back on it, and that was really, my husband was the one who always said it all belongs. And he started saying it about a year before I got cancer. I think it was a photo project that he did where he photographed professional snowboarders in our town. We live in Whistler, BC, so we have a ton of professional snowboarders around us. He photographed them in their glory, and then he photographed them with their children. And he did a slideshow showing it all belongs. This guy who's a professional snowboarder, travels the world, who parties, who's an unbelievable athlete, who's hanging out with all of these guys. He's also this incredible dad. He's also, family.
So funny. You both are so in alignment with like your jam, of course.
Yeah.
Is this whole thing that it's beautiful. It's 360 about life. It's beautiful.
It really helped us having that perspective walking into cancer. I think that it really was something where we went, okay, we have a choice in how we're going to walk this out. And at the time I was given a 30% chance of survival. Those aren't good statistics. Those aren't good numbers. And I just remember thinking, oh, well, we can't control that. We can't control what's going to happen in any of that, but we can control how we walk it out. And so I knew I wanted to be generous. I knew I wanted to have dignity through it. I knew I wanted to, we partly had to make a public statement within our community because of all the weddings, and it's such a close-knit community here. And I was saying, I was having to give up these weddings. And so it was going to get out. And so we decided to put it out quite publicly and walk out our process. And I wanted to inspire people to maybe have a different perspective and to look at this in a different way, no matter what happened. Not because I was going to fight it, not because I was above it, but even if it was to go the other way, it was really important to me to walk out the best way I knew how. And sometimes that was just being so honest about how hard it was.
Yeah. And did you use, when you say you went public, did you do that like just through friends or social media, or what was your way to communicate that?
It's interesting that you're asking, because at the time I chose to share on Instagram or Facebook, part of the process. So part of writing about it, updating, but going a little bit deeper in our process and how we were handling it, what we were walking through. I thought that I was oversharing. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm saying so much. And then recently, about 4 months ago, I was at a wedding fair and a woman came up and I knew she had cancer right away. And I asked her when she shared that they had to move their date because of medical reasons. And I asked her, I said, can you tell me what it is? And then I told her, I'm a cancer survivor, and I haven't really met very many people in person who have had that experience with. And she, of course, was emotional because here I am, this healthy person at a wedding fair promoting this collective, longer hair. And so we talked for a while, but that night I saw somebody liking photos on my Instagram from 3 years ago. Oh. And I clicked on it and it was her. And I went, oh, she's looking for the cancer me. She's looking for the cancer in me. She wants to see what that looked like. And so it's interesting because I've actually this week started creating a website that will just be that will have all of my writings and journal entries from that time and resources. And so I think that women are looking for that story. And
well, especially if you're in it, or even if it's in your world and you want to be there to support somebody and you want to, I don't know, walk through it with people that did it with such bravery and presence, really presence,
I like that word. I think that's so true. I think that what we get a lot of with cancer is that really harsh and hard, like fight it, battle it, F it, just that.
Yeah.
It's really aggressive. And I know that for me, I really chose to walk away from that. I really wanted to use words like, I'm embracing this. I'm looking for the lessons in this. I want to dig deeper into everything, into presence, into being present. I want it to teach me how to be here right now. What does this look like?
Right.
So that's a very different approach. So I'm hoping
It is.
People can find that who might resonate more with that side, but what has not been the cultural norm with cancer so far.
Sure. And it really is completely applicable to exactly right now. I mean, there are people that are 100% freaking out. I was having a conversation with a good friend yesterday who, prior to all of this, was already planning this move just for a year. So it was a temporary move across country for 1 year. You can imagine that a pandemic creates a lot of additional hurdles. And what she said to me was, I'm learning to get very comfortable with uncertainty. Because the truth is, everything is uncertain always. Like, it's always been uncertain. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. Like, all we have is right here. And even though it's so, cancer diagnosis, or, a pandemic, and let's say you've lost your job, or all of the things, when you stop for a moment, like, so the narrative in your head is going, but when I look around right now, in the present moment, right now, at the time of this recording, right now, it is a gorgeous blue sky. And there are at least 6 or 7 different types of flowers that I can see in my yard. And my dog is curled up nearby, and there's grace. And so it's a wild thing with your mind, and learning how to cultivate and embrace whatever is, to just quiet the chatter monkey in our heads so we can stay present with what is. And I don't know if you've been listening to Eckhart Tolle has a free lecture series that's out right now. But man, oh man, he's talking a lot about what you're talking about. So I'll send you the link, and I'll also post the link here in the show notes. But it's a lot of what you were talking about, this idea of not fight. Actually, I've read so much stuff recently. I'm not sure this one point is from Eckhart Tolle, but just the beauty in the preciseness of your language, and not fighting, because what we say, we actually get more of. So if you are embracing and being present with, that's probably more in alignment with the energy that you need.
I think so too. I think too, it's this, I get to, as opposed to I have to.
Yeah.
Often we think, I have to do this, or I don't know, it just hits me all the time. And it specifically hits me since cancer. Just this, I have to work. No, I get to work. I have to stay home. I get to stay home. I have to cook dinner. I get to cook dinner. I have to drive my kids to school. I get to spend that time in the car with them. It's these little tiny shifts. And I don't think everyone needs to get cancer to learn them. There's other ways, including the time we're in right now. This pandemic is it's amazing. It's an amazing opportunity to really change this way that we're thinking. To have these little perspective shifts of being present. We're not entitled to a perfect life. Who said that?
And it would be boring. Honest to God, it would be so boring.
It would be. I remember this one woman saying, do you often ask why? Like, why did it happen to you? Like, why me? I think I would just go through. And I was like, what? No. Actually, like, why not me? 1 in 4 would get diagnosed with cancer. I was never promised a cancer-free life.
Yeah.
And it's just a different perspective. It's a different way of thinking. But I will tell you what, if you can dig into those shadows and have that idea that the light exists with the darkness exists with light, and it can be quite beautiful.
It can. And I'm so excited that you're in a place in your life where you're interested, able, willing to put that narrative of that journey out into the world in whatever capacity. So maybe you want to start a podcast, or maybe, you have this other separate website or whatever, but I do think that your life is in fact a teaching and an inspiration for other people. And so I, for one, thank you for showing up the way that you do, not just as a creative artist and, a creative person, like you're a photographer, but in my mind, you're also so many other things. So you're a photographer but it's a really resonant message that translates into all the things that you do, all the things that you do. And you facilitate that in other people, but having the courage and the wherewithal to take the time to build something like another platform to share that information is really an act of generosity. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I think it goes back to the photography too. It's that a lot of women I talk to, they say things like, well, maybe in a year I'll get photos. Maybe when I lose 10 pounds, I'll get photos. Maybe when, and I always go, oh, no, it's now. It's celebrating who you are right now.
Right now.
It's always enough. It's always the right time.
Yeah.
And I hope that my story inspires people with that. There's so many, even for family photos, I always hear, well, when the braces are done, when the haircut happens, when, but for me, when I was diagnosed, the first thing I did was get family photos. I wanted my kids to have these photos of me healthy. And I wanted to look at those photos and go, okay, that's my goal. I'm going to come back to this space, Yeah. I just want people to have that with photography. I want people to allow themselves to be celebrated in this moment.
Yeah. And also I just think around photography, especially for women, boy, we have given ourselves a bad habit of whatever this lens is that is so critical and so rough about how we look and it's just absolute nonsense. And so I, for one, am really excited about this new world of which everybody's on Zoom, I think, or, Facebook, whatever, FaceTime, whatever your video thing is, because it gives people permission to just dive in and be. And I was inspired by a friend of mine who does Instagram lives every day. And I too, Anastasia, had this concept, as you know, where I'm so, busy in my life and busy in my companies that I would always kind of have a pushback to certain platforms. And I just say, I don't have time. I don't have time to be goofing around on Instagram. But the truth is, I really love the teaching behind Wishbeads and sharing about the Wishwork and connecting with people. That's actually my joy. But I had a concept that kept me stuck. And it was the pandemic where I was like, I have to do something here. And I started doing these Instagram lives, which you joined me for one, which was so fun. And it's funny because, sometimes I jump on and I'm like, I can't believe how little I have this is I don't care anymore. And the liberation that comes from not caring. I'm not pretending to be anything that I'm not. And I am more than enough because it all belongs. But I love that it had to take a pandemic for me. By the way, it didn't stop me because I was worried about what I looked like on my little, camera. But it's amazing how often we put nonsense barriers between trying things because we have a concept about them. And sometimes you just have to jump and do it. And then you'll see whether or not you genuinely like something, right?
Yes. Comparison, right? I think that's a big one. We've have a lot of comparison with social media. And that's something that we're old. We didn't grow up with social media.
Yeah.
But now having it, seeing my kids on it, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so hard. Just that constant comparison. And you're probably seeing somebody who maybe is doing it better or you maybe wish that you were.
Yeah.
I think what the pandemic did and what any kind of smackdown, hit the floor situation in your life is going to do, whatever that looks like. I think everyone has, I don't think anyone doesn't have one.
Yeah.
Difficult, whether it's a divorce or whatever it is that you're walking through.
Yeah.
The pandemic, it takes away the comparison. It just put us all on the same level. All of a sudden you're not able to go to your fancy studio where you have your perfect lighting and your team and your makeup artist. Well, guess what? Nobody can. Nobody can. So we're all of a sudden making do with what we have. And I think that's given permission for a lot of people who are holding themselves back with comparison. it gives them permission to go, oh, maybe I can do this actually.
Yeah. And to see a
seen
different story that's out there. Just
Yeah.
see a different story, you know, have a little bit of, a little bit of bravery.
Yes, I think I've seen a lot of my clients really step into more of the online since their photography session with me, for sure, because we started to get really clear on what's unique about them, which gives that confidence. And then through this pandemic, it's been a whole nother possibility to step up and step into. And it's been exciting to see.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what are you excited about post-pandemic? Like what sort of, I mean, I'm asking you this because I'm like simultaneously asking myself this question that I don't know the answer to, by the way, as I'm sitting here, but is there something that you're creating now that you're excited to sort of bring into the world? I know you have a new website coming out, but and this new platform to share more of your cancer journey. But is there a gem or a focus or an intention that you're bringing back to life whenever it sort of finds its new normal?
Yes, I have a few actually.
Oh, goody.
I know, I'm ready. One is, as you said, like you as well, we are busy women with our hands in a lot of things and like to always create. And I love my work, so I spend a lot of time doing it. But I overbooked myself this year. I took on too much travel. I said yes to everything, and I was feeling overwhelmed. And now everything has been canceled. The slate is wiped clean, and I feel like I have the second chance. And oh my God, I hear the privilege in what I'm saying. I hear the privilege. So I know that I am very privileged to be able to have space and wipe it clean and start all over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hear that, but I'm also very excited.
But you can be honest about where you are. It's okay too.
But I'm excited. I'm excited to kind of move forward. So one of the things that I'm going to do moving forward is every 7 weeks, I'm Xing off on my calendar. So it doesn't mean that I won't take work. I'm just not booking anything. So if something comes up last minute or if closer to the time, it's something that feels good or is in flow. But otherwise, I'm taking every 7 weeks off. I'm just
off for a week. That seventh week is off.
Photo shoots, and I may still work in that time, but I won't have anything where I'm committed to somebody else. So nice. I'm super excited about having that in my life.
Great.
After this pandemic. And then, yes, I have 2 websites coming up. So I have the website that I'm going to share more about my cancer journey. I'm also going to share in there resources and things that get me through. So that's where I'm definitely going to share more about my love and obsession with Wishbeads.
Yay!
Because it's such a tool for me in my day-to-day life. And I think that people are looking for that. I think people are looking for kind of how are you doing life?
Yeah.
How do people do life? And what does that look like? And for me, a part of my story is that I am intentional with the here and now and with my space and my time. It's an attempt for me. And Wishbeads is a part of that, those intentions that go on my wrist every single day as I wear them. So things like that will go.
Love it.
Even like our water filtration system or my use of oils or whatever that kind of journey, what my journey day to day. So that website is going to start. We're going to start putting that together, and
awesome.
There's a book in there, and we'll see. And then and then I have my branding photography is also being launched in the next 2 weeks, and that's been a complete rebrand in the midst of all of this, which I'd actually decided to do before the pandemic. And that's interesting because it was a huge investment of money to do a website on assumed income.
That was in the budget.
No longer is there. But, I stuck the course partly because I wanted to stay committed to my designer as a small business person. And also I wanted to really stand in that belief that I have something that will be successful again. It has been. I believe in what I do. I believe in the work that I do.
Yeah.
This really created a beautiful time to be able to invest in choosing galleries and in really picking the direction and really looking through the pricing. So that's going to launch. And in addition to that, I'll be launching one-on-one more mentorship in helping people audit their visual look of their website and their social media without photography. So you'll have the option of photography or the option of having me just come on without.
Almost like as a creative director.
That's right.
Oh, that's so cool.
So that's exciting. That's
so exciting.
Yeah. And that wouldn't have happened without the pandemic, because it really was that I started offering that through the pandemic because I could meet people one-on-one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's so funny. I guess in many ways we're very parallel in the sense that there's a lot of things that I had been wanting to do, but the dance of new obligations coming into the pipeline, in addition to maintaining the current obligations, would always, put that project just to the side. Like, not yet. I don't have time for it yet. Not yet. And so it's funny. I'm also relaunching a new version of wishbeads.com and a new version of alexafischer.com because it was time for me to, step up into a new level of authenticity. Your photography is featured in both websites, of course, but really just sort of own what's important to me, the work that I really am passionate about, and really putting, like, I think in a way, your website is your calling card to the universe, not just to the customers and clients that are going to find you, but really your statement of this is who I am. And I think in a way, when I would go back, because when I launched Wishbeads, I literally couldn't pay attention to the alexafischer.com website, or just barely. It's not me anymore. That's not a representation of who I am and what I'm doing and where I am and all that stuff. So it feels good to roll up the sleeves and just dive in and do it. Like, just do it. So
yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see what's going to come of that, because I know for me, in working with you, I'm always like, there just needs to be more of you. More of you, and everything that you do, I think needs more Alexa. That's my big business plan for you. More of you.
Well, I'm going to ask your creative opinion, my dear, when things are getting closer, to take a peek-see. But don't worry, at alexafischer.com, there's a little too much Alexa. You know what I'm saying?
No, never. I'm so excited.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I know that this is a new forum for you, but girl, it's a good one for you. So I hope you do lots and lots and lots of podcasts, because you've got a lot to say.
Thank you so much. Thanks for letting me just chat and share. And I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome when we get to share our story. I know how much I love it when other people share theirs.
Exactly. And then once you're doing it, you realize it's not such a big deal. But also, you taking brave action and you sharing your story inspires other people to do the same thing. So it really is a beautiful act of selfless giving. And I, for one, am so grateful, because I think you're totally groovy, as you know. And I want more people to know about you, because you're just the best.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for being on the podcast. And just for everybody to know, it's AnastasiaCreative.com. And you can see all of her beautiful work and her narratives. You'll likely see my face there as well. And some other incredible people that, she has captured. And then we'll also put a link to your new website when it's available. So stay tuned for that. And also the information about that incredible program that you launched that is inspiring photographers to do 1-for-1. So for every family photo shoot, they're going to gift a family photo shoot to a first responder. And that, I think, is so cool. So cool. So I want to link to that information as well. So thank you, Anastasia. You are the coolest. And I so appreciate you being on the podcast.
Thank you, Alexa.